district has remanded one Mr. Anthony ENUGU over the death of an 11-year-old houseboy, Goodluck John. ENUGU committed a crime on the 15th of October 2024 at number 4 Mike Onyeka Close, Loma Linda Extension, Maryland, Enugu, around 8:30 in the evening. According to the Commissioner for Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development, Enugu, Mrs. Ngozi Eni, Mr. ENUGU, aged 47, was arrested following a tip-off from one of the ministry's whistleblower channels. Master Goodluck John's death was linked to abuse in the hands of a family where he lived as a houseboy. However, Mr. ENUGU was said to have quickly conveyed and had the remains of an 11-year-old boy buried in the boy's hometown, Abia State, without reporting his death to the appropriate authorities. Although he was said to have claimed that the boy had died from an ailment at the Park Lane Hospital, Enugu, there was no record to show that the boy was admitted in the hospital or that his corpse was deposited in the hospital's morgue. The Chief Magistrate subsequently ordered the suspect to be remanded in Enugu Correctional Center to the next hearing on 20th November 2024, when the report from the Director of Public Prosecutions, Ministry of Justice, Enugu, is expected. A Labour Party chieftain, Valentine Ozigbo, has delivered food and relief items to victims of flooding in Anambra West local government area of Anambra. Ozigbo, the chairman of Valentine Chineto Ozigbo VCO Foundation, handed the items to flood victims at Nkwomweze and Anam on Sunday. The relief materials and financial support were donated to the internally displaced persons through his foundation. Governorship aspirant will bemoan the displacement, destruction of property, and difficulties faced by the people, called for a proactive and permanent solution to the perennial flood menace. Ozigbo commended the resilience of a flood-prone Anambra West people as remarkable, said that victims should not be left to face the challenges alone. According to him, while these items cannot fully address the magnitude of their losses, they represent a solidarity and commitment to support the community in times of need. Ebonyi State Commissioner for Aviation and Transport Technology, Dr. Ngozi Obichukwu, has berated critics alleging that the departure lounge of a Chuba Okadibo International Airport, Abakaliki, was converted to a church service venue due to low usage. Obichukwu explained that the staff of the ministry held monthly prayers to rededicate and smoothen the recommencement of flight operations at the airport. Commissioner said that the airport witnessed smooth landing and takeoff of aircrafts conveying prominent Nigerians who came to Ebonyi for the burial of late former first civilian governor of Abia State, Ogbonnaya Onu. She further said that activities has fully recommenced at the Chuba Okadibo Airport since after the rehabilitation of the runway, and called for the patronage of general public and air travelers towards boosting the internally generated revenue of the state. Obichukwu said the essence of a monthly prayer service by staff of the ministry was to seek God's presence and protection for all travelers. The Aviation Commissioner, in a statement issued on Sunday and made available to newsmen in Abakaliki, described the critics who alleged that the airport lounge was converted to church service venue as enemies of peace and progress of a modern Ebonyi state. Airport was built by the immediate past governor of the state, David Umahi. And that's the news. When we return, we'll start our conversations. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now we are here, and it's time for the conversation. But let me give you a little lead. In the southeast region of Nigeria, predominantly inhabited by Igbo people, we have a rich cultural heritage and diversity. Socio-cultural groups play a vital role in shaping the region's development, influencing economic growth, social cohesion, political stability. So today, what are we doing? We're going to explore the impact of these socio-cultural groups on Southeast development. We'll look at the intersection of tradition, modernity, and progress. Don't worry about that. With me in the studio to discuss this today is the veteran journalist. He's not just a veteran journalist. You've heard me introduce him time and time again. Mike Ubani is a man of many invaluable parts. Mike.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So
Thank you
Southeast
for
News.
inviting me. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Now, when we look at the potpourri that constitutes these socio-cultural groups, one thing stands out. The fact that it brings about unity, brings about cooperation. It engenders peace, political stability, you name it. But the last time we had a conversation here, we also talked about how come there is no roadmap that these various groups can have as a common hegemony to say the Southeast is moving to such a direction. Don't worry. Let me ask my first question. This is the Southeast, no doubt. The states that make up the Southeast are no different from each other in terms of the people, the culture, the language. What you may call differences in language are just dialects. But that saying in Igbo that says no matter how they all speak, they understand each other, and it's supposed to help them foster unity. So why do we have issues when it comes to developing the Southeast as a goal? If you traverse the land and you see the various communities, you will discover that erosion affects the issue of water, cuts across. Potable water cuts across. The issue of insecurity cuts across. The issue of insecurity that impacts negatively on food security cuts across. Are we working at cross purposes, or are the socio-cultural groups working to ensure that solutions are brought to challenges? Where are we?
Admit or accept the existence of these socio-cultural organizations, socio-cultural groups in Igbo land. But one thing is important, one thing is necessary, and that is the affiliation of these socio-cultural groups to one apex Igbo socio-cultural group, which is known as Ohaneze Ndibo. These socio-cultural groups, yes, they exist, but all of them are affiliated to one apex socio-cultural organization. And it will be difficult to talk about the different socio-cultural groups in Igbo land without focus on the major socio-cultural group, Ohaneze Ndibo, which was established to foster Igbo unity and to give the Igbo people the opportunity, the chance to speak with one voice in the large Nigerian family made up of 300 ethnic nationalities. So our focus and I would have felt, comfortable if the focus is on Ohaneze Ndibo, without talking about the different socio-cultural group, because they cannot affect any development of Ohaneze.
Well, it's not as if it's up for debate. But why I started from there is because whether affiliated or not, when you talk about age grade system, it
Yes.
predates Ohaneze.
Yes, I agree.
Now, age grade systems, they use that as opportunity to construct roads,
Yes, yes.
to build town halls,
Okay.
to bring development to various communities.
Okay.
So why are we not unifying the goals of development to ensure that it cuts across the entire Southeast? So we're not looking at a nomenclature by saying Ohaneze Ndibo is the apex. I'm not taking that away from them.
All right.
But what we need to look at is, what are we missing? If sociocultural organizations were working hard, the example I gave, the age grade system,
Yeah.
to develop various communities, why are we not translating that to the larger states? Let's say a local government, the different age grades come together to say, okay, we're taking care of roads, we're taking care of water, taking care of erosion. And it begins to traverse the entire Southeast. It will give Ohaneze Ndibo more time to begin to look at the game changers in the Nigeria polity. But if you want Ohaneze Ndibo to begin to focus on development in each hamlet before you get to the bigger communities, their hands will be full. So I want you to begin to look at it from that other perspective. Nobody's taking anything away from Ohaneze Ndibo.
Yeah. To answer your question, I come from an area in the southeast, in Abia State to be specific, in Bende local government area, and we have the age group system, and that age group system has been responsible for all the major projects that one can see in my town, Item, in Bende local government area. Talk about water, talk about roads, talk about electricity, talk about health centers. The age grades, are responsible for putting these welfare facilities on the ground. And with about 30 or 40, 50 age groups in my community, they've been able to build the town in terms of providing amenities to an extent that if you leave the city to go to the village, you won't find any difference between the village and the city. Sometimes when I travel home, it's like, I am in ENUGU, because there's no difference between my community and there's no much difference between my community and the city.
In terms of utilities.
Yes, in terms of amenities and all that. And if you go higher, if you go beyond the Item, you get to Abreba community, you find real development anchored by the age groups. If you go to Ohafia, if you go to Anochuku, if you go to Itumbuzo, if you go to Abham, if you go to Zwitem, if you go to Zakle, if you go to Omoahibeku, all those areas, the development in those areas were anchored by the age groups. But it's been difficult, it's been difficult to bring, bring the various age grades, the age grades in the various communities. It's been difficult to bring them together to speak with one voice. You know, and it has to do with politics. For instance, the area I come from, you know, there are political differences in the area I come from. You see the APC, you see the Labour Party, and you know, and the political division, you know, has affected somehow affected the need for the community to pursue a common goal. You know, so I think it is politics that has you know, made it difficult, if not impossible, for what the kind of development that you are talking about to take place. And if I come back to my community, for instance, for the past 24 years, when a particular political party was, you know, in charge of the governance of you know, you cannot point at any project, one project, no project that you can, you know, relate with the government. I say government built, government established this, you know, project or institution, or you know, so for most communities in Igbo land, I agree, the age grades system has worked in terms of developing, you know, the areas. But there are other areas in Igbo land that, you know, don't practice this age grade system. And I don't know how, you know, they have been able to, you know, come up with developmental efforts. Of course, they have what they call unions, you know, town unions, president of town unions, secretaries of town unions in the, you know, but it's a bit difficult, because if you look at where the age grade system exists and is doing well, it is a pride. It becomes a pride of place for an age grade system to say, we want to establish a health center. We want to build a road. We want to build, it may take them 5 years, it may take them 10 years, but at the end of the day, they will deliver. Okay? You know, so, and that's why, if you come to my area, you know, you see, you know, like I said, it's like you are in the township, you know, because of the activities of these different age grades. But where you have town unions, in areas where you have town unions, it is not as effective as, even though we have town unions, of course, you know, because the town unions
different from the
age grades, because it is the town unions that control the activities of the age grades. For instance, if you say you want to build a maternity, for instance, it is the town union that you apply to the town union. The town union will approve the construction of such an amenity. So I believe that age grade and town union working together in most most parts of Igbo land have helped in you know, achieving rapid development in such areas. If we are talking about and I think one problem is a central organization that will, you know, harness the activities of these town unions, of these, and that's where Ohaneze comes in anyway.
Yes, and that's where that other question, I think you've been avoiding to mention, comes in, leadership.
No, I'm not avoiding it. I'm not avoiding it. I mean,
you know why I said leadership is, if you go back to the days of the Michael Operas and the rest, you discover that given what was a natural resource of the Southeast, it was what they were using to finance whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
So why I said leadership is the resource available in the Southeast is this social cultural groupings. Whatever nomenclature you give to them, they exist already. They are primed to function in terms of development. The other thing you may ask is, what is the level of development? Because if you are from a community that does not have too many wealthy people, then probably the development may be slower than others.
Yeah.
Just like the example you gave about Abia State, where Abriba is known as small London, so to say. Now, if you have an effective leadership, let's just say...
Effective at what level?
That's what I'm coming to. Let's just say even governance of a local government. He is from a community, whether you're a male or female, as a chairman of a local government, you're from various communities that make up that local government. And you know that around you, you have this manpower resource that you can develop. If you give them some form of training, then you would have what they call ENUGU, Igwebike. And it becomes easier to get them to begin to relate to the programs that would foster good governance. That's why I mentioned that leadership issue. So, Ohanese is at the apex. We have Aki Ikenga as a think tank group. The big question is, in bringing all this together, what are we missing? Remember, I asked you that the first time. What is it that we are missing that has kept the Southeast where it is, in terms of development, in terms of political leadership?
If I take you back to the 80s, talking about leadership and talking about the Apex Igbo social-cultural group, which is Ohanese Ndigbo. In the 80s, what brought about disharmony, disaffection in Ohanese, especially within the leadership cycle, was these partisan politics. Yeah,
the NPP,
the NPP, and the
NPN.
And most leaders of Ohanese were members of the NPN.
No,
NPN. They were members of the
NPN.
And the NPP members or members of NPP in Ohanese leadership, they were very few. And it's like...
so it polarized
the Apex organization was polarized along political party lines, and that brought a lot of disaffection, a whole lot of division, instead of some voice, as the Apex Igbo social-cultural organization. What happened was that the NPP people, they left Ohanese, and the organization was... in this area. I'm trying to say that partisan politics has played a damaging role, in the social-cultural organizations, not just Ohanese as an apex body, but also at the lower rung of, of the unions, the unions and also the age grade system. What usually happens is that, this man, he wants to do something for the community. Where is he coming from? Which political party is he representing? And that has affected the smooth running of the age grades and also the town unions. And again, the governors, of the different states, in the Southeast are not helping matters. For you to be a president of a town union, you must have the, support of, not just support. I mean, from experience, the governors dictate who becomes the town union president, and the the aim is to foster, is to ensure that the political party concerned has control of that community. So if you leave the various communities to elect their leader, perhaps the right people will be elected president generals of town unions. But where you allow the governors to dictate who becomes what, you'll find out that politics has entered the administration of the town unions, and it will affect development. And sometimes we have had stories of court cases. This man emerged the president of a particular town union, the other group goes to court, and the whole thing drags for 10 years, 20 years, and that town union does not have leadership. And when that kind of thing happens, what do you expect? It affects the development. Because they are going to spend the whole lot of money at their disposal trying to pursue court cases. And these court cases, they don't just end at the High Court. Well, you win at the High Court, the appeal court is there, and you get even up to the Supreme Court. And by the time you finish with the judicial aspect of this, competition, a whole lot of money would have gone. The opportunity to develop your area,
it's lost.
It's lost. So that is the problem. If you are able to get the governors or the government out of, and again, I think because some of these town unions or some of these social cultural organizations do not have the capacity to generate money, and government comes in, with their own fund to influence whatever is happening in such a community. So fund plays a whole lot of role. Yeah. But in some places where the age grade system in our area, you don't have government influence. You are growing or coming up, you get to the age of 18 years. One of the things that makes you a man is your
age grade,
is your association with a particular age grade. If at the age of 20, 24, you are not a member of an age grade, you have not become a man. You will not be respected in that community. Just like in the olden days, when tribal wars, communal wars was in place. If you have not cut the head of a human being, nobody will regard you as a man. But today, if you don't belong to an age grade, between the age, if you are 18 years and you are not a member of an age grade, then you are a fool. No, you're a prodigal son, okay. So to say.
Now, Mike, let's go back just a bit, because you mentioned in those days, and it reminded me that modernity is good, but some of the things we held dear to us in the past, traditional things that told us to speak the truth, to stand for the truth, to ensure that the truth always prevails. Where did we lose them? Because at the end of this entire conversation, I may be wrong, but it does appear that we are losing our soul because of either money or allowing people to influence us when we shouldn't. For example, when I mentioned leadership, that you were avoiding saying leadership, you countered and said no. But from the narrative you gave, it's still a leadership issue. If a sitting governor needs to influence who becomes the president union of a certain community, what does the governor stand to gain? Is he going to ensure that there's rapid development in that community by backing, for example, by backing Mike Ubani to become the PG of ITEM? Would he bring rapid development there? Or would he use Mike Ubani as his puppet to stop all forms of development?
No, it's not a question of stopping all forms
I'm
of
saying
development.
that, so I just want
it's
to
a question
understand
of
it, because we're talking about leadership.
Yes.
What leadership harnesses helps to ensure that the resources are efficiently and effectively applied? So we go back to that. What is the purpose of any sitting governor or a sitting chairman or any political influencer? I was speaking to somebody who said there are stakeholders, and there is one other word he used, a new name in the political game, but they are all there for their selfish gains, nothing else. So where does that word leadership come? The leadership of old that ensures that whatever they are doing is selfless, is for the good of the community. Where?
Well, I think what has happened is that when you as a governor, or when you as a leader of a state, if you choose to have control of what happens in the communities, or what is at the back of your mind is to put your puppet there so that nobody will challenge you from that particular community. And once that is done, they are not even talking about votes. They are not talking about votes, but talking about the idea behind controlling what happens in such communities by putting their men there is to ensure that from this community, no challenge about what government is doing. From this community, nobody is going to criticize government policies and actions. And just to cow the people, keep the people, make sure that nobody talks and nobody examines or probes what you are doing. I think that is the idea behind choosing. It has got nothing to do with development. It has got nothing to do with development at all. Because if it has got anything to do with the development, you'll be looking at the personality that has what it takes, has the resources even to initiate development on his or her own.
Yes.
But all that is, the objective is to ensure that no opposition from this part of the state. I think that's what is at the back of their mind.
So how can we begin to resolve such issues? How can Aki Kenga or Aneze, Aki Kenga is the think tank, and Aneze is the apex group, the apex body. How can they begin to committedly and deliberately begin to change what the current position or situation is? But remember, from each community, you have people representing them at the two organizations I called.
Yeah.
So do we have any differences there?
It's an unfortunate development, in this area of the country. Yeah, because if I take you back to the 60s or pre-independence days, you find out that the leadership we had then were homegrown. They had no influence from outside Igbo land. Nobody influenced their appointment or election or people like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Michael Okpa, they were homegrown leaders. What I mean by homegrown leaders is leaders who got their authority from their own people. Okay? But today, you want to be a governor, you run to Sokoto, you run to Kano, you run to Kaduna to see one emir. And if the emir gives you his nod, automatically you become a governor. The emir will speak to the leadership of the national leadership
of a party,
of the party, and say, look, this is my boy, this is my son. Okay? You know, so, you know, by you. Okay, so that's the major,
so
major problem.
How can we resolve this?
You know, the only way to resolve it is to keep trying to put the right leaders in power. It may take some time to do that. We should not fold our hands or feel that we've lost everything. Election is coming again in 2027. Well, general election is coming in 2027. You know, each socio-cultural organization in Igbo land should begin now to think about who represents them, who governs them, irrespective of what the leaders outside the Igbo land do or say. Okay? So when you have that kind of concept, when you have that kind of idea in mind that, look, what is happening in Igbo land, what you see, the leaders you see in Igbo land are picked by influencers outside, you know, the territory. If you have that consciousness, I mean, and you work with that kind of, you know, idea, you know, I think we'll begin to have a paradigm shift in the process of electing or getting leaders to represent us. But as long as, you know, the leaders are imposed on the people outside Igbo land, it will be difficult for if not impossible, for you to get the kind of development that you know you are talking about. But like I said, the leaders we had in the past were homegrown leaders, and you can see what they were able to achieve. There was that consultation, there was that meeting, there was that association, relationship with the people, you know, they governed, and that accounted for much of the rapid economic development that you witness in the eastern region, especially in the area called Igbo land, because the leaders were homegrown. They were not being influenced by outsiders. For me, once we get homegrown leaders in Igbo land, leaders who are interested in the welfare and progress, development of their people, and not leaders who are dictated to from outsiders, you know, things might, you know, we might have a change in terms of development, in terms of bringing the people together. But for today, you know, you hear stories of even people, governors who lost their elections in Igbo land. You know, it's either they lost or they won through hook, you know, and crook, you know, and the matter is in court. Instead of facing the matter in court, they will run to the north to get approval, to get a nod. And once that happens, the judiciary will give you what you. That is a very sad, sad commentary. As long as the leaders in this part, we want leaders who are determined, who are homegrown, leaders who are prepared to work for the interest and progress of the people, and not leaders who depend on outside influences to get elected into government. And while they are there, they do little or nothing to advance the development of the people that govern the areas they govern.
Thank you very much, Mike Ubani.
Thank you.
Always showing up and doing what it takes to be who you are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm happy. I'm grateful for
I
this.
look forward to that day
that
the Southeast will see the type of progress it deserves.
Yeah.
And that's where we say it's a wrap on this edition of Southeast News. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, I am Barry Kumo.
Before one is made a Chief Justice of the Federation, the appointment has to be sanctioned by the National Judicial Council. And for that to be done, the person has to be deemed to be qualified to occupy that position. For instance, there is a particular number of years, because in as much as it is conventional for the Chief Justice of the Federation to be appointed from the 7 Justices of the Supreme Court, there is no law that also prohibits the president from even going outside the confines of the Justice of the Supreme Court to appoint a practicing lawyer. For instance, a practicing lawyer who has practiced law for at least up to 10 years in the country is also qualified to be a judge, in which case the president can go outside, you know, the shores of the already existing Justice of the Supreme Court to appoint. So if, for instance, the person you are trying to put forward is not qualified constitutionally to occupy that particular position, then that would be a ground upon which the Senate will say no, that you have forwarded this person's name for us to give our stamp of approval, but we will not do that. Secondly, prima facie, the candidate may be qualified, but there may be an allegation, a very fundamental allegation against that person. Let's say allegation bordering on corruption. If prima facie, the allegation is weighty, then the Senate may say that based on public policy, that if you have the right to, to put forward the name or names of candidates, as the case may be, who you want to occupy this particular position, that this particular individual whose name you have forwarded to us, that there are fundamental challenges that has bedeviled his candidacy based on so and so reports, let's say security reports, if there is a very, not just flimsy, there is a very cogent security report against the person sought to be made the Chief Justice of the Federation, based on that security report, the Senate can say, based on national interest, that we will not be given our approval, in as much as the president is giving that powers to appoint whoever he wants to, subject to the fact that that appointment must be done in line with the Constitution. So it's not an open-ended power. And that's why the National Judicial Council is there to ensure that whoever may be put forward to occupy that position should be someone who is constitutionally qualified to occupy that position.
It's no longer news that there's fuel scarcity in Nigeria. Today, I'm at A Irano filling station in Metama along Kuba Expressway, whereby the station is not selling the products. To my left are the black market guys who are selling the product right in front of the filling station. The black market are selling the product at the rate of 1,000 naira per liter. All effort to speak to the management of the filling station was abortive. The return of the queues coincided with the build-up to the nationwide End Bad Governance protest, which began on August 1st. Some of the filling stations visited on Wednesday were locked, suggesting that they had run out of stock. Those that were open had to contend long queues of vehicles to attend to. Those motorists who could not withstand the situation were forced to patronize vendors whose sales in container refers to as black markets at between 1,000 and 1,005 per liter.
And by black market, each 1 liter is 1,000 naira. So I'm feeling bad. And it is not supposed to be like that in Nigeria. Because not the way Nigeria get everything. Then they are suffering us. Please, we need help.
This administration has done only a year plus. And look at the unbearable hardship that people are facing. Even during the Buhari regime, when everything was hard, at least people could still feed. But now you find people, they can't even eat. They can't even eat 3 square meals at home. And then all of a sudden you expect them to just sit down and say nothing.
Despite long queues at its outlets, the NNPCL stations have continued to dispense the product at 580 naira per liter, while some private stations sell at about 690 per liter. The Shema Petroleum Station in Kadu and Emadeb Energy were both selling the product at 690 per liter.
In this kind of hardship, it's not fair now. No, we don't do that definitely. Once we have product, we definitely sell. Can you see that? You see the queue has been moving successful. We always open. Once we open like 100 car, we enter. Definitely after the about 70 buy, we now bring another 70s again. That's how we have been doing it. And if you see that the queue there is no longer 690, that's the highest price the government need people to sell. People are selling 850, 8 something like that, but we don't sell like that. We sell at 690. All our stations in Shemas, all the branches in Abuja, that's how we have been selling it.
Some motorists and residents expressed their anger and frustration over the situation in the face of existing excruciating hardship they had to contend with.
It's the implement of fuel that brought about this. So the protest is a good, it's long overdue. People are supposed to protest. But you know Nigerians, we are good in adapting issues. We adapt to all issues, either bad or good. People don't mind. So, but I think this is the only way that government will hear it.
They carry me for my compa, come here, 300, 400, but now 1,000 naira, 1,500. What in they carry us 1,500? What in person can get feeding his children who can die?
The kind of shame to a Nigerian to see a police filling station and whereby the fuel is not there, but they are selling, black markets are selling fuel on behind of the police filling station. It is shameful. And look at this in transport is keeping increasing day by day. Tomorrow we'll enter car from here to maybe to Zuba, 1,000. Next tomorrow you'll find that it's more than 1,000. Where are we heading to?
Nigerians are eager to see how the Tinubu administration will handle the current fuel scarcity, which is being compounded by the ongoing protests across the country. From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Nasiru Usman, reporting for Signature TV News.
Hello, and welcome to Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television. We are reaching you from our studios in ENUGU, the Coast City States. Of course, ENUGU is the capital of Southeast Nigeria. Last week, the Supreme Court of Nigeria made a landmark judgment in which it made certain pronouncements that would appear to have given autonomy to local government councils in Nigeria. The Supreme Court in that ruling directed or affirmed that all funds going to local governments should no longer go through the Joint Allocation Committee of the states, but should be paid directly to the council accounts of elected councils throughout Nigeria. That would mean if a state government is running a caretaker committee, such a state government, such local governments are unqualified to receive allocation from the federation account. The ruling also affirmed that governors do not have a right at all to dissolve elected councils. That would also imply that caretaker committees, which about 22 states in Nigeria are running, the Supreme Court says it is illegal and they should no longer be operated as such. Nigerians have been reacting. Nigerians have been responding. And Nigerians have been making comments on this judgment. There are two divides. One are those obviously led by James Ibori, former governor of Delta State, who affirmed that that ruling violates certain sections of the Constitution. And of course, Michael Zekome, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, leads the other pack that said the Supreme Court had made a policy decision and that Nigeria should welcome it. It is the only way to restore the dignity of the local government system. On whichever divide you are, Nigerians are clamoring that the local government system should be allowed to breathe. It's like they're being choked by the governors. And so this evening, we are here to do what? To have a look. To have a look at the local government autonomy. How could it be constitutionally redirected? What can we do to ensure that that autonomy, as foreseen by the Supreme Court, is made legitimate? I've been joined in the studio by no less a person than Chief Okezie Nwanjoko, an ENUGU-based attorney, a former local government chairman. Chief Nwanjoko, welcome to Common Conversations.
Good, thank you, Dr. Siranoke. Good evening, our global audience. My pleasure to be here this evening.
Okay, we'll just take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Welcome back. You are still watching Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television, and we're still broadcasting from our studios in ENUGU. Chief Nwanjoko, I said you're a lawyer,
Yeah.
and a former local government chairman. And I'm sure you've read at least part of that judgment. What are your thoughts?
Thank you once again, Dr. Cyril. As a matter of fact, that judgment that was delivered last week by a panel of 7 Supreme Court justices, led by Justice Agim, that judgment has been applauded by vast majority of Nigerians. Some also, like you said, has some misgivings about that judgment. But whichever side one belongs of the argument, the popular view, opinion in the public space is that local government, everything should be done legally to ensure that local government enjoys autonomy as a third tier, a supposedly third tier system of government. I was privileged to appear in a radio discussion sometime last week, which you also anchored. And my views were made clear, which I'm going to restate here this evening. I said, what the decision of the Supreme Court on that judgment is an act of judicial activism by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court tried to lean towards the yearning of the public. The Supreme Court is the final court, it's the last court. Being the last court, anything they say, whether it is wrong or right, is final. And becomes final until it is reversed by the Supreme Court, maybe in another opportunity, but not in the same matter. Arising from that, they've taken that decision to liberate the local government from the stronghold of the state government. But I did say, and I'm repeating it here, that that decision, most majority of Nigerians applauded it. It depends on the side you belong. But looking at it legally, the Supreme Court, like I said, their decision is an act of judicial activism, because if looking at the Constitution as it is, people have been blaming the governors that they are suffocating the local government, they are doing this, they are doing that. But if you look at the 1999 Constitution as amended, that is where the problem of local government is all encompassed.
Before you come, let's start with the one I know.
Okay.
And that is Section 7.1, which clearly guaranteed that there should be a democratically elected councils.
Yes.
Let's start from there.
Yes.
To what extent have the governors breached this part of the Constitution?
God bless you. You know, in legal drafting, meaning are given to certain words. If you look at that Section 7 you've just mentioned, you will see from beginning to the end, you will not see any word shall. And the law, once you say shall, it means compulsion. It's a must, you must do that. You just say guaranteed. Guaranteed. It's that there. If that has said there shall be elected local government officials, not local government, I tell you, no governor under any guise will not obey that.
When you say something is guaranteed,
yes.
What does it mean?
It's assured. It's assured. But for it to get that deep assurance in law, the word conveying it must start with shall, and it is not there. And that's the loophole where most of the state government governors are leaping on to do what they're doing. So you cannot completely accuse them of violating the Constitution, because explicitly the drafters did not make it so that there must be elected. There must be, like, if you continue with this conversation, you will see why people are contesting what the Supreme Court did. Section 162, sub 5, sub 6, sub 7, sub 8. You will see shall, which empowers the state government. All the revenues made for local government in every state or federation must be given to the state under which those local governments, are domiciled. For instance, using our own state in ENUGU, that section 1625 says all the funds meant for local government in the federation should be credited to the states, various states, for the benefit of the local government. That would say, and say, share, which means must, the money must go there. And that's why what the Supreme Court did, people are, some legal minds are questioning it, even some non-legal minds. Because once the convention will say share, it means it must be done. And for that to be altered, it must pass through legislative process, which is the job of the National Assembly. Now, but on the other angle, the job of the Supreme Court, of the court, of the judiciary, is to interpret the laws made by the legislature. So, if by any means, in the eyes of any of the higher courts, and from the court of records to the Supreme Court, if in looking at, because it's a constitutional matter, if looking at the issues bothering, and finds out that there is some mischief on the part of the legal drafters, they are at the liberty to give meaning to the true meaning which is intended, about that situation. And that's exactly what they did. Can I drink water? The Supreme Court in this instance looked at the intendment of the framers of that constitution. And the intendment was not that if the money comes to, the state government, they appropriate it and do it. They thought that we are dealing with men of conscience.
Okay, let me just come. Let me just come. What I think I want to address your mind to is that if the Constitution says, and rightly so, if it says, and rightly so, that democratically elected councils
should run the government,
are guaranteed, and a governor, a Democrat, a man who has sworn to the oath to defend the Constitution, to protect the Constitution, is looking for a loophole, an avenue, a cheap way to truncate democracy at that level. As a former local government chairman that was elected, as an attorney, would you not think that such governors are certainly undemocratic?
Thank you, Doc, once again. Honestly, I'm not in this studio to rationalize what some governors are doing by not respecting the letters and spirit of the Constitution, whether it is a share or not. Common sense.
It's a mistake that should at least,
yes.
In a democracy,
I'm not here to
they
say
should be elected.
that what they did is or was right. They are ordinarily supposed to follow to the letter what the Constitution, even if the Constitution, there are some,
ambiguity.
I mean, they should be able to do what should be seen as just and equitable in the eyes of a human. So it is not proper for them to ignore or to be looking
look for one loophole.
Is not proper.
To circumvent.
It's not proper.
Do you know what that meant? It means that the people at the ward level do not have a say who governs them. People at local government do not have a say who governs them. People are imposed on them willy-nilly, and so you don't appoint councillors, you don't appoint supervisors, so you just appoint
chairman,
some people, just a few, who perhaps have never told the people this is what we are going to do if we get elected. So in that vein, they have nothing to work for.
It's wrong.
And the people have nothing to look up to.
It's wrong.
Okay.
It's wrong.
Having said that, and also as a lawyer, now I'm sure our viewers will want to know the particular areas of the Constitution that will need some kind of an amendment. Like you rightly said, the National Assembly should do something very quickly and very urgently to give teeth, or if there's a lacuna somewhere, to at least to balance what the Supreme Court has done by looking at those sections. One, that could be the section on this section 6, the one on joint account, and 162
sub
and the rest. So what would you advise the National Assembly to do, and how urgently should they do that?
As a matter of fact, what the Supreme Court had done already is to guarantee financial freedom to the local government. And whether people say they did it coming from the back door or front door, that is to that extent, by the way, but that is the new law in place. Okay. The local government have gotten financial freedom, financial autonomy right now. But the next question is, have they gotten political autonomy? The answer here with the present constitution in place, they have not gotten political autonomy. Because insofar as the election to local government officials are left in the hands of the state government, as contained in the same constitution, which allows for each state to have state electoral commission, and many states in the federation don't have them in place. So insofar that one is still there, something there to be done. And to close the gap of agitations of some legal minds who are questioning the audacity of Supreme Court to come from behind to amend the Constitution, the National Assembly can also, leverage from what Supreme Court has done and give it a further legal teeth by ensuring that necessary amendments are made in the Constitution to, as regards to Section 162, that deals with revenue that comes into these different tiers of government, especially as pertains the local government, because all the revenue from the FAC by this constitution has to be domiciled in the account of state government, from where the state legislatures will further decide on how and prescribe on how this money should go to different local governments. For instance, let me use my own local government. If my local government Aniri gets 2 naira from FAC and is sent to the state government account and further sent to the joint account, because first of all, 2 accounts are mentioned there, state account, then joint account. If these monies are domiciled there, the provision still insists that the House of Assembly of each state will prescribe how this money will further be distributed. So the National Assembly needs to take it up immediately and see what they can do to effect necessary amendments. Then to give them full autonomy, the political aspect needs to be addressed. I just read yesterday that there's a bill before the National Assembly.
They say it passed the first reading.
Passed first reading. Before now, during our last district, some of us were saying, let INEC handle it. But I think in their own wisdom, 774 local governments throughout the Federation to be given to INEC as an additional responsibility when INEC is finding it difficult to manage 30 state election and the state assembly's election and the state assembly election, you are giving them another big responsibility. So I think in their own wisdom, I think what they are trying to do is good, to create a local government, a federal created local government electoral body that will now take care of local government elections. If this is done and passes legislative eyes and get approved and get ascended by the president, who is ready to local government administration. So if any president is elected, the people will hold him accountable. If he fails to perform, the people know what to do. Again, there is need for the Constitution to properly address the status of the local government, the Constitution. If you go to the Constitution, you see we have a federal government, high state government, all of them structurally defined. The local government just said, local government section 7, elected officials. Everything is subordinated to the state. They need to disentangle it and make them free, and let the Constitution specify the structure of the local government system, and their status should be defined in the Constitution, so that all this trouble will come to rest.
If I get you correctly, that would mean that you're advocating that the Constitution should actually make local governments at least a federating unit. Because as it is now, it is not.
It is not. That's what I'm saying.
It's tied to the upper strengths, to the whims and caprices of the state government.
That is true.
A school of thought believes, and they hold strongly, that all funds before now collected, domiciled, managed by state governors should be so refunded. In fact, SERAP, that organization is insisting. Do you foresee a possibility of that? And if no, why? And if yes, why?
Okay. If they pursue such action, that would amount to academic exercise.
Academic
exercise in law. Because at the time they utilize those funds, the Constitution empowered them to do that. But by the new law in place, as put forward by judgment of Supreme Court a few days ago, any governor that does it again is in total breach and will be held accountable. And when you are making a law, you do not, the law does not take retrospective effect. You know, what has happened now, you go back to the past to bring it forward. No, it doesn't happen that way. So sit up, if they are pursuing that, they'll just make some noise in the public, get applauded, but they will not get any legal remedy at the appropriate courts. It's going to be an academic exercise, and you end at that. They will just end up making noise about it.
While we might say some governors may have run caretaker committees for 6 months, 3 months, 4 months, as the case may be, one man pointed that to me and said, could I ask my guest to interpret that for 7.5 years in Anambra State, under the watch of a man that many Nigerians believe is one of the most democratically minded person in Nigeria, and that's my brother, my friend, Itobi. He quotes the law, he knows the law, he speaks democracy, he exudes democracy, but he decided to cling on this aspect of the Constitution, and for 7.5 years, as governor of Anambra State, ran that state with caretaker committees. If you're asked to make a mild judgment on his status, what would you say?
Well, we all know the circumstances surrounding Obi's emergence as governor. Then he passed through the eye of the needle. His election, which, according to minds of reasonable public, he won the election. The victory was subverted, and it took him a whole hog of legal battle to reclaim that mandate. That's one. If you also look at why he was governor, you will notice that he operated with a legislature that had majority of the members from opposition. So, as a man, a smart guy, he had to look for a way to navigate himself in the jungle.
By denying people quality representation.
No, sir. Don't listen. He so far, look, we were not kept idle. I'm not holding forth for him. People were appointed to manage it because if his own, he must have calculated that if he organized the election, because the predominant party then was in opposition, his party may not win the election. That is one side of it. So the best bet, one thing is to win election and get power, and it to consolidate. So he had to consolidate before thinking of this. And also, like I said, the Constitution provided a leeway for him to do what he did. If the position of the local councils were properly defined by the 1999 Constitution as amended, that no governor is going to happen in time from now, we run a local government without elected officers, we would have done that. So we'll not hold it against him. And what is important that during that 7 years plus, he dispensed democratic dividends. He was applauded as one of the best governors in Nigeria. You can attest to that. MDG, United Nations applauded him in developmental indices during his time. So Obi was seen as one of the prudent managers of resources in Anambra. I can tell you, during his tenure, there was...
Can he be prudent in managing my own funds?
Sir?
Can he be prudent in managing my funds?
I can manage your funds.
You only manage your funds.
I can manage your funds. Unless
Could
you
he be prudent?
Unless you give me authority to manage
Could
it.
he be prudent in not allowing the local governments to have a bit of democracy while you are enjoying one?
Yeah. That's what we are saying. I keep saying that there is need to rejig the Constitution to get the local government properly placed. Once this thing is done, this is so.
And something is very curious. Unless, if I'm wrong, you may correct me. Since this judgment was given last week, Obi has not said a word. And he's one man that is vocal. We like him. Something happens in Nigeria, he will
react.
He will make an elaborate commentary on it. Maybe I'm wrong. I've not seen anyone. I'm sure if he had done, he would have trended.
He has not, and he has not. And for me, he cannot do it otherwise, because he was a victim of those who sat on local government. So what do you expect him to say? Will he come to start crying? I mean, the best is to maintain study silence.
This is what they call political selective amnesia.
Study silence. At least everybody, we are in a learning process. People are now learning every day. It's not going to be like that again for what is going on now.
Now, for some states to access local government funding, as we without considering, as it is happening, that money is going to local government may not go any further. Meaning that within the time that states are not conducting local government election, funds may not go to local governments. And if they do not go for 1 month, even for 2 months, do you see a political upheaval?
And there'll be crisis.
Or a dislocation?
There'll be crisis.
And if there be one, is there any way they can circumvent it and make sure that workers are at least paid?
Of course. That's why we have intergovernmental relations. One thing, the judgment has been given. Another thing is the implementation stage. And we are human beings. This can also be discussed. We have a forum of governors forum who can interface with the Office of the Attorney General, with the Office of the Presidency via Attorney General. The President can give Attorney General go ahead to discuss with the forum of governors, and they can discuss on the timeline, for every governor to go home and do the needful by ensuring that they organize the legislative election in their various states while the process of National Assembly, because that one cannot happen immediately. If you undergo, maybe by next year we have a body outside the state government having local government affairs. But for this particular judgment, in order to avoid crisis, but the worst thing that will happen is that somebody who receives his salary every month, the civil servants, all of a sudden, by virtue of this judgment, the salary is not paid because the money is not wired down. There could be discussion at the intergovernmental level, which is provided also administratively. So the forum of governors forum can now, come together and interface with the presidency and sort that one out. So funds, even if that's meant for paying salaries, could be released to the various local government for them to pay the salary. While other things are, done. Otherwise, the decision ought to take once the enrollment order is released. Become fly.
Well, I think we may just have to temporarily leave the issue of local government autonomy for now, and look at other things that also may as well border on good governance, both at the state and at national level. Between Monday and Wednesday of this week that is ending, ENUGU State was agog, and ENUGU State played host. So, if my memory is wrong, 13 governors that came from every part of Nigeria, what they call the PDP Governors Forum. Yeah. They came to ENUGU State. And between Monday evening and Tuesday and Wednesday, there were kind of some road congestion because with sirens, every part of ENUGU State.
That's true.
And so there was movement. There was influx of men and women, governors, their supporters into ENUGU State for what they call the PDP Governors Forum. Hoteliers, some people who are doing some business in Enugu State, benefited from these
influx
of the political leaders.
That's true.
of 13 states into Enugu State. But others said, look, these governors left their states for 3 days. Some left on Monday, and they had their meeting Tuesday, and some decided to go back late Wednesday. That means for 3 days, 13 states in Nigeria, the chief executives were absent from duty.
Yes.
They aggregated in Enugu.
Yes.
While they're saying, it's not that they spent 3 days out of their stations. Quite a chunk of money
were
expended in coming here. And of course, the host state would also have done that. Many say that meeting was not worth the expenditure. And they were insensitive to the plight of Nigerians. Because one man summed it up. He said, even those who made movement, that movement could have, if you check, I said, but you don't know the amount of money expended.
Yeah.
He said on the conservative, you could build 2 hospitals. somewhere in this part of the country. Now, do you believe that movement was justified?
Thank you once again, Doc. Before I address that, let me say one final leadership at the presidency, led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because it takes a man to get something done. During Buhari's reign, he tried to use
executive order.
Yeah, it couldn't work. So I want to say in this station that Tinubu is a pure Democrat, because if actually at the end of the day, local government are freed from various state governments to be fully independent, people can now, that is the government and the grassroots. Not many have access to state government, not many. So that's why local government is in place. If you go to foreign jurisdictions, go to England, go to America, the mayor of London is in charge of transportation as a critical sector of London economy. And it is a local government that is, navigating it.
Even the mayor of New York.
The same thing in New York. So, and this is a government that is closest to the people. Like I said, not many have access. You and I will have access, but the majority of people at the communities don't have access to the state government. But the traditional have access to the local government. So I want to commend the leadership of current leadership at national level for taking this bold step, for initiating that suit at the Supreme Court, and commending the justices of the Supreme Court for being bold, audacious to take that historic decision. It could be based on public policy.
They concluded it in two
public
months.
Policy and not on law.
In 2 months, they concluded it.
Yes, we commend them. So let's begin. I encourage all the stakeholders, the governors, not to see it as being that people are trying to bring them down. No. They're already at the upper level. Nobody can bring them down. There should be collaboration ordinarily. If the framers, their intendment was properly, put in place, that would have been this thing. And people cannot begin to look at the amount of fund, being mentioned. And you know that with the removal of oil subsidy, fuel subsidy, chunk of funds are coming in to all these various sectors, various levels. So if, for instance, you are looking at a local government, every month they go home, supposedly 300, 400 million, you hold the local government chairman accountable for not doing what you're supposed to do. So all in all, I think all parties should be happy with this development. That having said, going back to what you said.
Yes, you just hold your thought a bit. Let's just go on a short break. When we come back, Chief Okeze will talk about the PDP governors forum meeting that happened in ENUGU and the subsequent communique that was actually issued at the end of that meeting. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You are still watching Uncommon Conversations on Signature Television, reaching you from ENUGU, the coast city state. Okeze, we before we went on break, you were trying to make comments about the Southeast governors, PDP governors meeting that happened in ENUGU. So what are your thoughts?
First of all, let me come from the foundation you laid, that they left their various state states.
For almost 3 days.
For almost 3 days, Enugu. I dare say that we should not forget that by the time they were elected, the Constitution foresaw this situation, and that's why there is a governor and a deputy governor.
They're not sure they handed to any deputy governor, but go ahead.
So supposedly, each of the governors that came to Enugu is expected to have handed the reins of government to his deputy, if he's working, whether they're working well or not. They've been elected.
They didn't travel outside the country.
At least they should hold forth for those period. Then that's one. Two, we're also the world is also a global village. A governor can stay in Enugu during that meeting and still control affairs in his state via digital communication. So on that basis, they cannot be found wanting. Then on the importance of the meeting they held in Enugu, of course, every governor is elected through a political platform. No governor was elected as independent candidate via governor, as provided in our constitution, because there's no room for independent candidates. To that extent, because they were elected under political platforms, there is need for once in a while, that those governors coming from different political parties should meet and review, even if you call it the peer review mechanism. They can compare notes, what is happening in state A and state B, what is happening, and who are being looked as doing better than others. In the media is now the watchdog, the 40th state. And you see every day my own governor receives an award for what he's doing here in Enugu, has received several awards, in recent time. And so it should be, if you are doing very well, you'll be noticed and you'll be applauded and commended. So I don't find anything wrong in that meeting, especially when now PDP, which hitherto used to be the ruling party in Nigeria, has all of a sudden found itself to the extent of having only 13 states as today out of 13 states. It had never happened. That shows that there's something wrong with our party. I'm a PDP man. So, and whether we like it or not, he who plays the piper dictates the tune. The party, yes, they say you contribute, I contribute to run the party. But in actual sense, these who are holding the reins of power at the state level, led by the party, are expected through any means to ensure that the life of the party is kept afloat. And to that extent, our party, the PDP, may not be floating if these people who were elected under this platform abandon the party. So it's good that they come together and discuss. And the party is not a problem at the moment. We're talking about 2027, is almost around the corner. The first year is gone. Next year, more development by these governors. The third year, they start doing politics. So they need to put their house in order. You get the point. And one of the resolutions they also reached, trying to be their brother's keeper. What is happening in Rivers State?
I was really going to ask you that question.
Okay.
If you read the communique,
yes,
you will see it was vague. Yeah, the communique is almost as empty as it could be. He said they resolved to support
Fubara.
What does that mean?
They also added, you didn't want to point that one, they want to approach the matter from political perspective. They want to resolve it not through legal. They want to, and I'm happy you're a powerful ADR expert. That matter in their own wisdom could be settled out of court. And that's the angle they want to pursue it. And that, which means that the protagonists of this battle, the governor and his SY, this godfather, the Mr. Wike, you cannot resolve that thing without getting two of them involved. It's not possible.
The governors forum of the PDP.
Yes.
I think they are members of NEC, or members of what of their party.
They are NEC members.
This issue in River didn't start yesterday.
That's true.
There was a time they had a NEC meeting. When Wike was there, and Fubara was there. How come it's taking them this long? Because this matter didn't start yesterday. They've been out of court. When their members of the House of Assembly defected, so it's been lingering. They didn't call an emergency meeting. They waited until they came to Enugu, almost more than 6 months. Somebody whose house has been burning, is still as powerful as Rivers. And by a May declaration, I thought that what he would have been saying is, in the past 1 month, we've been able to go into Rivers, and we'll have a tentative discussion. They're saying they're going to support. Wike is a member of the PDP. Does that not show discrimination?
Okay.
And the former governor.
Okay, thank you, Doc. I also want to bring you to bear to know that the PDP, as we have today, whether we like it or not, is at national level is polarized along two lines, and that is those who believe in ex-Governor Wike and those who follows former presidential candidate party Atiku Abubakar, and that's what we find in that national executive. So each group will be trying behind the scene to follow the rhythm of the music being dictated by their paymaster, and that is why it's difficult to resolve that matter. Don't also forget that this matter, Mr. President, even though it's not our party, intervened, and they got to a kind of resolution, which we don't know what happened, who defaulted.
Of course, it broke down.
Who defaulted, it broke down irretrievably. So, and that's why they've gone back to court. And it does appear Mr. President has washed his hands off the case. Let the court decide. But if the PDP, as we had over the weekend, decide to come in, those governors come in to wade into the matter and pursue it from political angle, there's nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong in trying. But I still tell you that the truth is bitter truth. This matter could only be resolved between Wike and Fubara. That's bitter truth. Two of them know what is the problem. They need to, people should sing their pride. The man knew how he became governor. If this guy had not projected him, sorry for sounding this way, he would have become. Wike should also know the limitations.
Yes.
Where to draw the line. You cannot make me governor and want to subject me. So two of them need to meet. Sing their pride, meet. All this is out, inside one corner, and but it's resolved. Not bringing many parties to come into it.
Okay. That seems to be the words of an elder. Part of the communique also enjoined the president, as they said. What is even an appeal? They said the meeting also enjoined the president not to show any political preference or interference in the upcoming elections in Edo and Ondo states. Is it possible to have Mr. President and two states are up for grabs? One is an APC state and one is a PDP state. And you will not make any kind of, you will not even support your party. You go and stay neutral because you are president. Most of the governors who have conducted local government elections, where other parties participated, did they show any neutrality based on their knowledge? And so if they did not, those who produce wheat should learn how to eat wheat.
So my response to there, let me start from the last you said, the governors organized local government elections, allowing the winner, the party in place winning the whole. That's why
to clear everything.
People say it's a charity, not election. It's election. Once you are the government, the party in power anoints you, governor clears you, you are already chairman. So that's why people are saying no. Take away the current government election away from the state government, have a separate body to do it, which I plan to do now. So, but if the governors, if they are reasonable enough, as we say in law, to once you've won an election, that's a way even to test the popularity of your party at the different local government levels. They should be able to encourage the independence of the electoral commissions to conduct this election. I commend the former governor El-Rufai of Kaduna, the only governor in Nigeria that conducted the election, and some parties won some local governments. And my leader and my governor also did it when he was Governor Chime, conducted the election, and one opposition party won the local government, I think, Udenu. So we expect,
and many councillors
we expect the current leaders to encourage freedom, of doing these things, and not because when you make it one party, it looks like it makes the thing a laughing stock. you know, because of one or two motive or the other. So the ideal thing is to liberalize the polity at the local government level. Let the popular of the parties be tested. But because it is not being done, that's why they clamor everywhere for local government to be freed. Then, having said that, whether what they're asking, the request or the demand for the president to allow free, for me, that request is uncalled for. So we have a body separate from the president, which is called INEC, that run this election. We've also had an election that was off-season election, and that is Bayelsa State. And the president sat like that, and at Asoro, election was conducted, and they won again and came back. So this request, maybe they're not trying to re-emphasize. We've known this man as a Democrat. I don't see him coming out nakedly, that his party must win. Some people might persuade him to do it, but I don't see President Tinubu doing that. He won't do that. So I dare say that the request by our party governors, I mean, is, if I use the word, they should go and join their colleagues there and campaign. The campaign period is still there, and get convinced people to win the election. Not looking for, is it award? No award. It's election.
Okay. By that, would you find anything odd if Mr. President traveled to Ondo to campaign for his candidate? Or perhaps travel to Edo to campaign for his candidate? Assuming you are a governorship candidate, and you now invite Mr. President that you have a campaign, and ask him to come to your domain, to say one or two things to your people. Yes. And he said, "This is my party man. Please vote for him." Would that amount to interference?
At all. He's a party. He was elected under a party platform, and the election is being conducted along certain party lines. He's expected to, if he's invited by his party candidate, to come and campaign. If he has the time, he can go. If he doesn't, he can delegate somebody. Because the job at the president,
he's the leader of the party,
is so enormous for him to even have time to attend. But if he does have time, it does not mean that once he appears there, the candidate must win the election. No. The candidate vying for the election, Nigerians are wiser now. They will look at what you have presented, their manifesto, and also look at the performance of those who are leaving the stage. If, for adventure, the sitting governor of a particular state, where the election was conducted for that particular party, did not do well, do not expect the person to win election. He will not win, because people will judge him. It happened in my local election here, by-election, let me not discuss it here. So if the outgoing governor of a party, any of those states did not do well, there is likely tendency that the candidate they are projecting will lose the election. That is the truth of the matter.
Maybe lastly on this matter, the PDP governors took a swipe on the APC-led government as concerns the economy. And they said they ran the economy better than the APC, that the APC had brought the Nigerian economy to the ground. One man particularly said, when we were discussing the thing yesterday, he said, well, if the ENUGU and the road is anything to go by, that the PDP should actually cover their faces to shame. Because you need, now you can say, he said, can go to Odisha now.
It is.
Using the express. It may not be totally perfect. But he said in the time of PDP, you couldn't go through that. So very quickly, what do you have to say?
Well, you see, if we are sincere enough and not to be partisan, I make bold to say, if not for the mistake made by Mr. President at his inauguration, when he said subsidy removed, that brought the problem, the current hardship everybody's facing in Nigeria. Because the Nigerian economy is dictated by the oil, Nigerian oil. So by that singular executive pronouncement as the new sheriff in town, change the narratives, have pushed everybody back to the driver's seat. So, and they've been struggling since then to navigate themselves out of it. But in fair to them, going by what we can see for social development going on, Doc, we have to give Mr. Tinubu and his team kudos. That's my stand on that.
Okay, that's a very fast one. You know, the way this 1 hour will just disappear, you think it's just 10 minutes. A very fast last one. Yesterday, all this fight in Nigeria about minimum wage, all this rigmarole, all this endless strike, all this 1 million naira march, and all that would appear to have come to an end yesterday, just very suddenly. Mr. President said 70,000 naira. And Labour said, we're home and dry. Your comments?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the president for being sensitive to the plight of Nigerian workers. I also commend the NLC, TUC for their bargain chip, their bargain. If you look at the progression, you see before now, the minimum wage was 30,000 naira. From 30, they now get additional increase of 40,000 naira, making it 70. So it's more than 100% increase. And the good thing there, as I read this afternoon from one of the tabloids, is that it's no longer 5 years you come back to discuss. It cannot be discussed within 3 years tenure. You come back. And that, you know, made the workers to become more happier going home. And you also observe that before now, one particular state in the South was paying 70,000. And I'm happy Mr. President keyed into it. And that is those states. I have to mention it. I commend them. And maybe because it's going, let the rest of this state. So what we're saying, at least it's a step going forward. And let me also tell the NLC and TUC, strike most often does not solve this problem. Because end up, you know, getting everything strangulated, getting people more frustrated. This can also be handled through other ADRMAs and get the country moving.
Okay, thank you, Chief Okezie Mwanjoko, for finding time to be with us here. And I would dare say that you've been able to discharge the questions that we posed on you.
Thank you very much, sir. My pleasure.
Hope that next time when we invite you, find time to come to be here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And to our viewers, you've been watching Uncommon Conversations. And this is where we bring it to an end. Join us same time next week for yet more interesting editions of this program. Thank you for watching.